Okay, so moving on with the instructions, we're going to move on to part 9. You can see we're going to measure and cut the fiber optic cable for the first time. Cut fiber optic cable into one 14-inch and one 10-inch and one 8-inch section. There should be approximately 7 inches of cable remaining. It shows you, we're going to measure it out, we're going to cut it, small diagonal cutter, fiber optic cable. We're going to carefully split one end of each length of fiber optic cable. So what we're going to do is just like getting the clearing a wire or stripping a wire to connect to something, we're going to do the bottom and we're going to peel it back. Carefully split one end of each length of fiber optic cable. Tape the exposed fiber optic strands together firmly and strip away the remaining cover as shown. Fiber optic cable, tape, and remove the cover. Mark the lengths of the bundles on the tapes. Remove individual strands as needed. So what we're going to do is they're going to have us cut to certain lengths, and we're going to remove the cover. We're going to get them ready. That way there, when we go and we use them for different parts of the ship, they'll be pre-cut. So let's go right ahead. We'll get started. So the first one is 14 inches. So we'll take our fiber optic cable, and this has been bent up for a while. 1997, and it's 2021, so let's get this as straight as possible. Yeah, it won't hold a shape. First one is going to be 14 inches. So let's and that is just about 14 inches. So there's going to be our first cut. You can see. And what we're going to do now is we're actually going to use a razor and we're going to cut off the end. Okay, so we got the 14 inch, and you can see it's like here. Let me see if I got a light. Put the light at the end. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, so that's number 14. So like I said, this has been in storage for a long time. This is really rigid. There's got to be a way to keep it straight. All right, so that's part number 14. We have strands everywhere. The next section is going to be 10. Let's see if there's any extra. We'll put this aside for now. And the next one is going to be 10 inches. So 10 inches will be right there. So that'd be 10 inches. So let's go ahead and we're going to do the same thing for this one. And let's see if I can do the same. You see the ends of fiber optic cable. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to have to make sure, because this, you know, the lights are not really going to light up all that brightly. So you can see a lot of the strands are broken and trying to get the pieces out. All right, let's put the lights back on. So we've got the 10-inch, we got the 14-inch, and we need an 8-inch section. So this is what we have left. All right, and let's see if we have any, how many of these are not broken. You guys can see the So I can see where they were trying to go with this for the lights in the Enterprise, but it's going to be so much better to just use LEDs. Again, I'm doing this video to show you guys what it would look like to be built right out of the box. But I would use the, just drill the windows, all the openings, and just put bright LEDs inside of the light to ship up a lot better. But we've got the 8-inch and we've got the 10-inch and we've got the 14. And according to the directions, we should have approximately 7 inches of cable remaining. So this is what's left. Let's see how accurate that was. Well, I measured everything out, and it doesn't even make 6 inches that we have. We have 5 3/4 inches left of the cable, and according to the instruction sheet, there should be approximately 7 inches of cable remaining. Well, we don't have that. All right, we're going to put this aside for now. And let's move on with the directions. We're going to move on to step 10. You can see we're going to start drilling the installation of the shuttle bays and the installation of the fiber optic strand. But like I've been doing so far, we're going to prepare, paint, and detail all the sections. So what are we going to do first? Cement both shuttle bays with the main impulse engine in place as shown. Use the micro drill to carefully drill 16 holes in the battle head. Note, drill through the molded window of your choice. Carefully read step 2 for drilling tips and techniques. Bundle and tape 16 of the 17-inch fiber optic strands together. Insert one end of the fiber optic strands into each of the pre-drilled holes from the back of the battle head. Push each strand completely through until there is approximately 1/8 protruding out the front of the piece. Note, these whiskers will be trimmed after the model is painted. Use a straight pin to apply a very small amount of instant bond cement to hold the strands in place. And you can see what they're telling you to do. And you can see how we're going to take 16 of the, we're going to put 16 windows in the back of the battle head that's going to be lit, or the dorsal hull. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prep all the pieces. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the two port and starboard halves of the dorsal hull as well. So let's get those out. Okay, so we got the dorsal hull. You guys remember I painted the inside reflective. You guys can see how they're going to go together. They're going to go together just like that. And then that's going to go into the secondary hull. But what I'm going to do is we're going to paint these first, the way I've been going along. So the first thing I want to do, you guys see there's a lot of overspray from when I had painted the reflective coat on the inside. So I want to wipe all this away. Again, there's some overspray here and here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the sections and get it all nice and clean so we can paint it really quick, and you can see that looks good. So they're all prepped and they're ready to be painted. You got to make sure that the solvent, what you clean, is nice and dry, wipe down, and totally dry before you stop painting. Because again, we're going to use, I've been using the 2 Chicks, the chalky paint, and this is the blue steel color, and it's the same color that we used, if you guys remember in earlier videos, to do the bottom of the secondary hull. And let's see, the most recently we did the bottom of the primary hull. You can see the color. I would like it if it would have been just a little bit lighter. But the color, I like the color. The duck egg blue mixed in with the steel is the color that I was looking for, but I just wish it was a little lighter. Anyway, we can move on, and that's what we'll paint. We'll paint these. And I find that using the chalky paint, a nice big fluffy brush is the best way to go without leaving brush marks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tape a little bit of Guy's Best Friend, a little bit of duct tape, and I'm going to use that to hold it in place. Alright, so we put another coat on all the parts. You can see we're going to let that dry. And when the second coat is dry, we'll be able to go ahead and we can do the detailing. I don't know how much detailing is going to be. There's definitely going to be the windows that we need to mark in. And a couple of decals, but not many. And then we'll be able to drill and put in the filament. So we got to let these dry, and when these are dry, we'll be ready to move on. Alright, so the pieces had a chance to dry overnight. You can see they look really nice. There are no brush marks. And they're all ready to go. And the battle section, the paint is a little bit chipped, only because I fit it into the, let me show you guys. I fit it into the bottom of the primary hull, just to see what I'd have to paint and wouldn't have to paint, and as it turns out, I didn't have to paint all this, because it's not going to show anyway, because it's got to be glued, because the wire passing through is going to prevent the saucer from separating. So the first thing I'm going to do, because this part is what's going to show, and we've got the two phaser arrays. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint those, and we're going to put in the shuttle bays, shuttle bay 1 and 2, and we're going to put in the impulse engine. You guys can see the impulse engine, piece 401, which is transparent red, and the shuttle bays 22 and 25. So let's go ahead and we're going to glue those in right now. And here is the impulse engine. And shuttle bay doors. So they're going to go right into the back. Okay, so we got the landing bay 1 and 2, and we got the impulse engines in. Now we can concentrate on painting the phaser arrays. Okay, so it had a little while to dry, and what I want to do now is I want to put the windows in. You can see there's not a ton of windows, but there are windows. So we can detail it, and we're going to put the windows in right now. on the back of the dorsal hull. So I'm going to go ahead and do this half, which appears to be the port half. A toothpick with a little bit of paint. Alright, so there aren't a ton of windows. Okay, so the port side of the dorsal hull, I'll put marked in the windows. So I wanted to show you both ways to do it. You can do it with the marker, the Sharpie, or you can do it with the toothpick if you don't have the Sharpie on hand. Okay, so moving on to the decals for the back of the dorsal hull. You can see what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the doors on, the shuttle bay doors. You can see they're right here. So when it comes to the shuttle bay doors, you can see they're a little darker than what's around. But because the ship is darker anyway, I was thinking of doing them black, but that would be too dark. So let me see. I have granite gray. I don't know. Okay, so I have the acrylic paint, and this one is granite gray. I think I'm going to use this. It's going to make the doors a little bit lighter, but the doors, the shuttle bay doors, will stand out, and that's what I want. So if it's the worst case scenario, we can repaint it. So you can see the color that it's going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint them on the tree. Yeah, it's not that much of a color difference that you can tell on a camera, but it'll be gray, and the shuttle bay doors will be able to be seen, and you can be, when we put the decals on, and be able to see shuttle bays 1 and 2. So let this dry, and then we can move on to the decals. I mean, when you can see for the decals for the back of the dorsal hull, you can see the shuttle bay doors have decals, and there's one that's going to go up, so that's decal 16, and you have the ones on either side of the phaser arrays. So let's check out decal number 16. So that's decal number 16. Now these stickers are really tiny. That go on the sides of the phaser arrays. So let me also show you guys a different way if you're going to do it. If you don't have these stickers, or if you're trying to do them and they keep falling apart, I'm going to show you a little way to get around that to make it still look like it's supposed to. Take a little bit of the red. And again, we're going to use our friend, Mr. Toothpick. See the little area that we did on either side of the phaser array. Now let me show you guys. So you had either side of the phaser array and either side of the phaser array. Just to show you guys, if you don't have the decals, that you can get away with doing it with the toothpick for the detailing. So we'll go ahead and I'll do the other side for you. Okay, so you can see without the decals, or if you lose the decals or ruin them, it's not the end of the world. You can see it still looks pretty good, pretty respectable. And if anything, the paint will be more durable than decals. They won't come off as easy. So, that's set. Now, when it comes to the dorsal, the line, that's a little bit different. Because you can see, this one will be a little harder to do if you're going to paint it, because it's really thin, it's really small. And because these decals are from 1997, you really got to let them soak in order to use them. So that's going to go right along here. So we're going to put it right here, and you can see where the other decal is going to meet along the spine of the ship. So we got the phaser array ones all taken care of, and we're going to do this part right now. Okay. We'll let the microsol set. Now there are some more decals, but for the top part, it's the shuttle bay door decals. The other decals are going to be for the bottom. You can see right there. There looks like there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 that go underneath, but we can only do that when the hull is formed. Shuttle bay doors have had a chance to dry. Okay, so the ghost gray is a lot lighter than what the ship color is, and they're actually supposed to be darker than the rest of the ship, but I decided I'll leave it the ghost gray because I do want them to be seen. I want them to stick out. So if I put them to dark, they'll just blend in with the rest of the ship, and I do want them to be kind of like that you know that they're on their own, or they've got a function that's specific. So they're the shuttle bay doors, so I want them to be seen. So when the glue sets, what we'll do is we can get the stickers ready, the decals, and we're going to be doing decal number 18 and decal 19, shuttle bay 2 and 3. Okay, so we have the decals on that indicate landing bay 2 and landing bay 3. We have the spine decal on. We have the phaser array markers all set. We have the impulse engines in. We have the landing bay doors in, and they're painted ghost gray. So that leaves everything except for the drilling. So all the detailing for now is done. And what I'm going to do is, I've been, instead of going ahead and sealing this, what I'm going to wait to do is I'll wait until the dorsal hull is assembled, and then it'll be easier to go ahead and seal all at once. So I'll do that when it's done. So that section is all set, ready to go. The dorsal hull, this would be the port side. Like I said, there is some decals that are going to go on, but I'm going to wait until it's complete. As you can see, it's going to go like that. So we're going to wait to put the decals on until it's glued together. But just before we seal it, we'll put the decals on these sections. So I think we're all set. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to start drilling. Okay, so for each half of the dorsal hull, we're going to use 8 of the fiber optic strands. I'm sorry, we're going to use 16. So we're going to put 16 holes in each half. We got our drill. Like I said, I don't know how well, but we're going to give it a try. You can see we drilled 16 holes. Doesn't seem like an awful lot, but we'll see what it looks like when we glue them into place. So I believe that's the 7-inch. Okay, so let's give this a chance to dry. You can see it looks like a bunch of hairs sticking out of it. And what it looks like on the other side. And what we have to do is, once these are all dry with glue, I got to bundle them together. So I'm going to go ahead and just give 1 drop of glue for each one, just to make sure that they're in place. let's give those a chance to dry. And we're going to have to drill out 16 for this one as well. So we got the 16 drilled out on this side, and we're all set to start passing the strands through this one. Okay, so this had a chance to dry, and what we need to do now is we're going to take all of the ends and we're going to tape them together like the instructions say. You can see how they light up. So it's not going to be as bright as if you drilled out the windows and there's LEDs inside, but again, for the time period, it'll look pretty cool. So we can move on to the starboard side of the dorsal hull now. We use a plastruck bonding. See all of the filaments in, and when we bring it around, you see all of them sticking out. So we're going to let this dry thoroughly, and we're going to move on to the back of the dorsal hull. So we're going to go with the same thing. We're going to go with 16, and we're going to drill 16 holes in the back of the battle head. So we're going to drill 16 holes around there. All right. I don't know if you can see it that way, but you may be able to see them better this way. So we got 8 holes drilled. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the 7-inch. Alright, you can see that there's 8 in each side. You can see it better that way. So what I'm going to do with this is, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a drop on each one just to reinforce it. Alright, and now we can let this dry. Alright, so this has had some time to dry, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to collect all of these fibers and I'm going to bundle them just like we did on the other side. There. Let's shut off the lights. And I'll show you. Yeah. When you put on the lights, you can see all of the fiber optics. And you guys can see, to conclude part 11, we're going to take all of the parts and we're going to glue them together. And then we're going to put the decals on, and then once we clear coat it, it'll be all set. So we're going to bundle all these together. Alright, so once that's done, I'll show you guys what we can do with this. We'll put the lights out. I don't know if you guys can see that. Looks like there's a few of them that aren't lighting. Probably. Once I even them all out, they'll all light up. You can see it's a little bit better there. Again, this is an old kit, and if you're going to do it, the best way is to spray the mirror finish on the inside and then drill all the holes and use bright LED tape. But I wanted to do this exactly as the kit called for, and this is what they called for. So we can move on, and it looks like we're ready to glue all the pieces of the dorsal hull together. Okay, so we closed in the gap, and I'm going to put a little bit more glue in the bottom. Alright, so those of you that have made this model know how difficult it can be to put this section together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it in sections. So I'm going to super glue around the edge, and then we'll take care of the gap in the back. And I'm going to clamp it. So we'll go around and we'll do the other side. Make sure there are no gaps. Alright, so we got it clamped off just like that. And I'm going to run a little bit on the inside. I'm going to let it drip down on the inside just like that. And we'll let this dry completely. Then when it's dry, then we can worry about pushing it on and holding it in place to fill the gap in the back section. Okay, so I unclamped it. It had a chance to dry. And again, those of you guys that have made this model before, you know that these parts don't go together that wonderfully. There's going to be some gaps. So what I had to do was, once I unclamped it, there was a gap on either side at the back where the dorsal hull is. So I put a little bit of the, let me show you guys, the plastic putty, perfect plastic putty. And what I like about that is you can use a little bit of water and you can wash it away. You don't have to sand it. And it conforms to the areas that need filling. So once it's dry, I'll go ahead and I'll paint that, and then we'll be able to put the decals on. Okay, so I had a chance to dry. Let me show you guys. So with that done, the only thing really left to do is we got to put the decals on. So looking at the decal sheet, we'll look at the one for the underneath of the ship. You can see these two of the lines, decal 26 and decal 39A and 39B. And we put the microsol on to let it set. And this is basically the conclusion of, let's see, this is parts 9, 10, and 11 in the instruction sheet. Put out the lights, and I'm going to try to get it lit. I want you guys to see what it's going to look like. Now, if you guys can see that. The back's not getting it, but it will when they're all cut. They'll all be an even length. That looks pretty cool. And don't forget, we're going to trim all of the fibers so that they're even with the hull. But we're going to do that when we put the secondary hull and attach it to the pylon, the saucer pylon. And then we'll see. But my friends, that's basically everything. And we're ready to move on. So I'm sorry this video turned out to be pretty lengthy. There's a lot of work going into this. You can see all the fibers that we passed through, all the fiber optics and the bundles, and the decals are on, and it's all set to attach to the bottom of the primary hull and the top of the secondary hull. So I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again in a video very, very soon. We're going to move on to instruction part 12.